What is up, everybody? Welcome to another video here on my Big Bro channel. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just tired of waiting around for fall. I know we're in the middle of fall technically, but here in Texas, the weather doesn't change all that drastic until later in the year, so it's still a little warm out. And I decided, let's bring fall into my apartment. So you may notice I got the fireplace roll in the back, some mood lighting. There's a pumpkin spice candle actually lit right over there. And I got this fancy little mug I stole from my girlfriend full of nice pumpkin spice coffee. I'd say we're pretty falled out here. But unfortunately, with this colder weather, with this change in the seasons, there's more that comes up than just fireplaces and coffee. We have stuff like seasonal affective disorder and seasonal depression, and people just find themselves in a funk because you spend more time inside. The weather changes, you're just down a little bit more, especially with all this pandemic stuff we've got. A lot of people are locked up, so you feel stuck. And with that stuck feeling, you start to question everything in your life and you don't know what's going on anymore. So today I want to go over a few things that you can do to figure out if you're stuck, how to get out of that stuck feeling, but also just acknowledge the fact that you may not be as stuck as you think. So let's go ahead and get started. Oh God, I know I said I wanted to feel more like fall in here, but this Sherpa jacket is still a little too warm for Texas. So let's take that off and get a little bit more comfortable and we'll get started. Now, I want you to understand before we start that this feeling of being stuck is a lot more common than you would think. I actually found a survey right before I started this video that said 7 out of 10 people, 70% of people that they surveyed felt stuck. They felt trapped in a routine. They just weren't happy overall with their lives. Now, I can attest to this because I have been there plenty of times, and I'd be lying if I wasn't in that position now. You can be stuck in all kinds of things. You could be stuck in a career, stuck in just your habits, your weight program, your relationships with your friends, your family. You can feel stuck in life from anything. It doesn't have to be one specific thing that makes you feel stuck. But there's two ways you can go about changing this stuck feeling. You either kind of subconsciously accept it and you don't do anything about it, or you make a drastic change and move in a totally different direction. I have plenty of friends who just shifted their careers 10 years into their successful job because they felt stuck, and that's not easy. It's hard to do. So I want to go over the feeling today, that feeling of being stuck, why you're feeling it, and what you can do about it. Now, I do want to point out real quick that there are going to be plenty of people that take the settle route because it's a lot easier, but I want you to understand that there are risks that are associated with taking this settle route and just settling and accepting things for the way they are. That feeling of being stuck may not ever go away. It might just get bigger and bigger until finally you just pop. You're going to have these regrets later on in life, the dreams that you wish you had followed. It could affect your relationships when you start lashing out at people. It could even affect your productivity at work because you feel stuck in your career. You don't have anywhere to move. You don't want to make a shift in your career because you've been there for 10 years. And I get it, it's tough, but if you don't make these changes and you choose to settle, you are risking these things like your relationships and your career and just your happiness altogether. So I want you to keep that in mind, that when you're deciding what to do with this feeling, that you may encounter those things along the way if you don't choose to make a change. Now for the good stuff. Why do you feel stuck? Why would we make ourselves feel this way if it's not a good feeling? Well, there's actually a few reasons, and number one is that you have these false goals or these false objectives that you have set in your life. But the trick is that you actually didn't set these. These are goals that society has set for you, or something that your parents have set for you, or your friends or your colleagues, or any external force that has set these goals for you, but they're not what's aligning with your inside, what you actually believe in. Now, an example of this is I went to school for communications, and before you guys come at me in the comments about what a joke of a major, partially yes, but I did it because I feel like I'm creative. I mean, I got a fireplace behind me, dude. Like, I'm as creative as it gets. All jokes aside, I like to write. I like to do public relationships and marketing. I like to do public relations and marketing and communications and stuff like that. So my first job out of college was a sales job. I took a sales role and I had zero interest in sales, but all my friends were doing it. And I read online, like, that's how you make the most money. That's how you be happy in life. And society makes it look like salespeople are the coolest. I mean, they used to have those little Bluetooth things. They look sharp, man. So I got there, and from the moment I stepped in that office, I was just feeling stuck the whole time. I was never satisfied, but because everyone around me was happy and people were saying like, oh, you should be so proud to be here, you should be excited. I tried so hard to be excited, but it wasn't for me because it didn't line up with what I really wanted in my life. So when I finally get out of there and I made the change to get into a role now where I actually do PR and communications and stuff, I'm much happier because it aligns more with what I want to do in life. And this actually segues us perfectly into reason number 2, which is not understanding yourself. You don't know your talents. You don't know your strengths. You don't know what your inner morals are yet because you haven't discovered them. So you can't find a career. You can't find a relationship. You can't find anything quite yet that's going to fit you perfectly because you don't know what that is. It does not exist for you yet. Now, in my case, at my previous job, I couldn't meet my full potential, and you can't meet your full potential if you don't know what your full potential is, because it's not there. You don't know what your strengths are. My strengths didn't align with sales. My strengths align more with what I do now on YouTube. I talk to people. I make them feel better. I don't need to sell them stuff. And if you don't know what those strengths are, it's going to be tough for you to feel unstuck. Now, one last reason why you might feel stuck is you just don't have a good core of people surrounding you. You have surrounded yourself with people that aren't going to mentor you. They're not going to support what you believe in. And they have these routines, or they kind of suck you into the routines that aren't healthy for your lifestyle. So these are all reasons why you might be feeling stuck, but what are we supposed to do about it, man? Like, thanks for rubbing it in, but how do we fix it? So now, how do we feel unstuck? Well, first and foremost, like I said, you have these objectives, these goals in life that don't align with what you want. First step is just ditch those altogether. Now, there's plenty of times where I've met people where it's like, my dad was a doctor, my grandfather was a doctor, my mom was a doctor, I have to be a doctor. Hey, if you want to be a doctor, go right ahead. But if it's not something that you genuinely want to do, you are already setting yourself up with a false goal, a false objective, and you need to get rid of that immediately. You got to keep in mind from the beginning that 70% of the people in that survey were feeling stuck in their life. So if you're doing exactly what 70% of the people in the world are doing, they're feeling stuck, and you're probably going to feel just as stuck. So you got to find what you want to do. And that is the most important thing. And if I have to, I'll make a totally separate video on finding what you want to do. But for now, we're going to keep it simple, and you got to figure out what it really is that you want to do, and do not be afraid to chase it. Now, more importantly for this section, you have to break the routines that you have. Don't get me wrong, routines are great. I make my bed every morning and I have a cup of coffee, and those routines are fine. But if you're making these routines like you have your 9-to-5 job, you come home, lay on the couch from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. and then brush your teeth and go to bed. Like, you have to break these routines. Until you learn to break these unhealthy routines, or at least acknowledge that these routines aren't good for you, you're not going to make progress. You're going to feel stuck because you are stuck. When you're doing the same thing every day, all the time, all year, you are physically stuck and mentally stuck as well. Now, the next thing is going to be one of the harder things, but it's actually sitting down and acknowledging why you do what you do, and is it going to pay off in the future? Now, for me, if I were to sit down in my old job and say, okay, why am I coming to work every day? My answer would have been like, hey, I got rent to pay, man. And that's it. But if that's my only answer, it's not really what I want to be doing. And you got to ask yourself every day before you do anything, especially big things, why am I doing it? And if I do this, what would future me think about it? Like, am I going to benefit from this? Or am I just going to sit back 10 years from now and think, why did I not make a change right there when I knew I wasn't happy? Now that we have all of that out of the way, I want to give you a few things that you can take with you, things that you can implement in your life today that will help you get out of this stuck feeling and just make your life in the future feel a lot better and more satisfying. The first thing, like I said, find out what your goals are. Really figure out what it is that you aspire to do. Because if you continue to look for these false objectives and follow what everyone else is telling you, you're not going to be able to do it. You have to be working hard, but working hard towards achievements that you really want to accomplish. The next thing is you have to get out of your comfort zone and actually go out and do things that excite you. The more you sit there and build this routine and just do it all the time, every day, it's going to become harder and harder to break. So you have to step out of your comfort zone, breaking these daily routines and habits that you have. But they're great ways to just invigorate life, make sure that things are going great for you and that you really are happy. Now, the next thing is you have to surround yourself with people that are going to be willing to help you, but not just help you, but people that you can look up to. For me, on my YouTube channel, I look up to other YouTubers that are doing something similar to me, or just people that have found success. You want to find people that are able to mentor you, make sure that you stay motivated throughout the process, but can also give you tips and tricks on how to stay motivated. They give you that extra bump, that little extra oomph that you may need that you can't provide for yourself. So look for somebody. If you want to look for somebody in whether your career or relationship, just somebody that you can look up to, ask for tips and say, hey, like, you guys have been married for 40, 50 years. Like, how'd you do it? Or at work, like, you are the VP of sales and I want to be a salesman. Like, what can you teach me? And build these relationships with these people, because again, like I said before, one of the things that gets in the way and makes you feel stuck is you don't have a solid group around you. So if you build that solid group, find anybody that can help you. It's going to help you get out of that stuck feeling a lot easier. Now, lastly, but probably most importantly on this list, is you have to change the way you think about things. If you're sitting here wanting to start a YouTube channel, you're like, I can't start a YouTube channel, I'll never be able to do that. Rephrase it completely. You can say, like, I don't know how to start a YouTube channel, but I can learn. You've got to tell yourself that you're able to do things. If you just sit there with that mindset that you can't do things, that it's impossible to feel unstuck and it's impossible to make changes, it will be impossible for you, because you already stated that. You already wrote it in stone for yourself. So you got to change the way you think about things. If you want to do something, you can learn it. If you want to do something new, you want to make a change, you can get there. It may take time, but do not tell yourself it's impossible until you figure out completely, without a doubt in your mind, that it is impossible. Go for it. Go for it. Now I feel like I'm just motivational speaking at this point, but you got to change your mindset. That is the most important thing to getting out of this stuck feeling. Now, before I wrap up this video, there's 3 things I want to tell you real quick that are going to make this a lot easier for you. These are things that you can follow just as a reminder that things will be okay. Number 1 is that even the tiniest possible step is progress. A lot of people think you need to be making these leaps and bounds in order to say that you've been making progress, but the reality is you don't need to. These small things become big things. When you focus your energy on these small steps over time, they add up and they become these giant milestones. So start right now, make a list of all the tiny ways that you can get ahead, get out of this stuck feeling, and pick one and take it on as soon as you possibly can, and just keep adding to that list. And every time you scratch one off, those little steps will become big steps over time. Now, the next thing that's going to make it a little bit easier to get through this is that you have to understand that you don't need to have everything figured out in order to move forward. And what I mean by that is you don't have to have everything written down and planned. Heck, you may not even know what the end results are. You don't know what you're striving for quite yet, but it's a lot better to move forward than it is to stand still and feel stuck. So you can go out and make new friends, buy new clothes, try new things, anything that can help you figure out what it is that you truly want to do and how to go attain it. And the last thing I want you guys to keep in mind is that these new beginnings may feel like endings, but it is the right step. It is the direction that you need to be going in. A lot of times we're afraid to close these old chapters in our life because, we just had a career for 10 years or we were in a relationship for 2 to 3 years. And now we need to make a change in order to attain what it really is that we want in our life. And we focus more on with the things that we're throwing away, the things that we're closing, rather than these new beginnings. These new beginnings give you a place for you to mold what it is that you want in life. They allow you to shape what it really is that you want, and you get to kind of customize everything and choose what it really is you want in these new beginnings. So I say this because you have to focus on these new beginnings. That's the main focus now, instead of all these things in the past. You can reminisce on them if you want, but the new beginning is now more important than this ending that you just closed. Now, as I wrap up this video, I want you guys to remember the 2 questions I said earlier. Ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? And is future me going to be happy that I was doing this stuff for us? You got to remember to live intentionally. Do things with every intention of your happiness in mind, and ask yourself those questions every single time something comes up, or even ask yourself daily, why are you getting out of bed? Why are you going to work? Why are you doing anything? But constantly reflect on these things and ask yourself what it is that you truly want in life, and whether or not you're doing things that are going to lead you into what you desire or things that society is telling you. And if you do this over time, you're going to feel less stuck gradually, and one day you're going to wake up and be like, wow, I've arrived. But that's all I got for you guys today. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the love and support. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, at least give me a like or something. And if you guys have any thoughts or anything you want to add to this, please feel free to do so in the comments. That's all I got for you guys today. So I will see you guys in the next video.